In Ecuador, all is set on the eve of popular consultation of referendum amid a renewed state of exception. In Palestine, the death on Israel's genocide against Palestinians in Gaza rose to more than 34,000. And in Iran, the government warned Israel about the danger of its military actions against its territories. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Ecuador is on the eve of popular consultation and referendum despite the problems facing the country. This Sunday, April 21st, over 13 million citizens will cast their votes to solve the problems of violence associated with criminal gangs linked to drug trafficking. In this eve of popular consultation, the blackouts are the leading characters of the week, concluding this Saturday. Therefore, the government announced that the power outages will be progressively decreasing and that on Sunday there will be no power interruptions. In this context, President Daniel Noboa renewed the state of emergency. The government declared a new state of exception justified by the alleged internal disturbance caused by the electricity sector emergency, which will be in effect for 60 days. The presidential decree establishes the activation of the armed forces and the national police under the premise of guaranteeing the security of critical energy infrastructure facilities. This is in spite of the rejection expressed by teachers and other sectors of society that oppose the policy of militarization and repression undertaken by the Ecuadorian president, considering that it generates greater violence than it actually controls. The government of Ecuador stated through a press release the state of emergency due to serious internal commotion and public distress is declared throughout the national territory caused by the emergency in the electric power sector in order to guarantee the provision of public electric power service. This declaration is based on the factual situation described in the relevant section of this executive decree. Part of the release also states the declaration of a state of exception due to serious internal commotion and public distress throughout the national territory caused by the emergency in the electric power sector will be in force for 60 days. This deadline is based on the need to have adequate time to overcome the factual issues raised. The document specifies to provide for national police and armed forces mobilization and intervention throughout the national territory duly coordinated to guarantee the security of critical energy infrastructure facilities in order to prevent sabotage, terrorist attacks, or other threats that could affect their operation. In Venezuela, the seminar of anti-imperialist youth in struggle and solidarity took place on Saturday. In this sense, the Executive Secretariat of Alba TCP and the Simón Bolívar Institute affirmed that the purpose of these days of debates and discussions is to propose an agenda of anti-hegemonic actions among the peoples, in addition to creating strategies to combat a new form of intervention of U.S. imperialism in the region with sanctions against Venezuela and countries of the world, as well as to implement collective solutions to the real problems of the peoples and the construction of a new civic society. In Venezuela, a meeting for a social and global alternative brings together intellectuals, academics, and activists in Caracas for 3 days to build a common agenda to confront imperialism.
More than 60 delegates from different countries raised the importance of regional unity in the struggle against the capitalist hegemon and in defense of the peoples of the world.
We are at a tipping point. Like Rosa Luxemburg said, it's either socialism or barbarism. That's where we are at. Barbarism has already become a reality, and it's threatening with becoming the norm. And we cannot allow that. We must stand on our heritage, on our moral and dignity as a people. Because our peoples have enough history, and that is the best answer we can give, to organize ourselves, to articulate ourselves and make a great front, an anti-imperialist bloc for the defense and survival of humanity.
Humanity's hope is found in the people of Cuba, Palestine, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, who resist in the face of imperialist threats and attacks.
We will have not just a tool, not just a sheet of paper with some words and ink, but a powerful weapon of mass destruction against capitalism and imperialism at this historical moment.
However, the United States is reluctant to accept that now the world is not unipolar, and that is why they show their intentions to use military force in order not to lose control of what they believe is theirs in Latin America, as described by Argentine analyst Attilio Boron.
Richardson, the head of the Southern Command, what she wants is to keep China, Russia, and Iran away from this whole region, so that there is no influence, because she knows that they are somehow contributing to the stabilization of these popular governments that need all the support they can get to face these broader unilateral measures that violate all international law, because nobody has assigned to the United Nations in the Charter the right to say, I'm going to sanction this country and I'm going to carry out a coup d'etat against it. That is brute force politics, de facto politics, that has nothing to do with international law.
3 days of meetings to continue listening to different voices with a single message: to move forward to transform humanity.
En la cámara de José Rondón, Luis Guillermo García Bencomo para TeleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.
In Cuba, the second flight of the operation to transfer Cubans stuck in Haiti arrived at the Ignacio Agramonte International Airport in Camagüey. The process of transferring Cuban citizens is organized by the authorities in Havana, several ministries, and the Cuban embassy in Haiti. During the second phase of the operation, consisting on aerial returns, some 260 Cuban nationals are expected to return to the island. Likewise, the Cuban Foreign Ministry will inform about the re-entry of Cuban nationals until the operation is completed. And Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega sent his regard to Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel on the occasion of his birthday. In an official statement, Ortega said, "Dear Miguel, all the respect and affection of the Nicaraguan people who recognize your immense work in the daily confrontation of the criminal U.S. blockade and in the clear-sighted and consistent battles together with the most dignified people of Fidel and Raúl." Ortega wished many years, more years and much more energies to continue fighting all battles and achieving all victories. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Palestine on Saturday, the number of civilians killed by the Israeli occupation forces in the framework of their genocidal operation against the Gaza Strip rose to more than 34,000. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, at least 37 civilians were killed in 4 Israeli massacres perpetrated during the last 24 hours, while 68 others were wounded, bringing the number of wounded to more than 76,000 since October 2023. According to the health agency, most of the victims in the Gaza Strip are children and women. They also warned that they could be even higher, since many of them remain on the rubble of infrastructures affected by the persistent Israeli bombardments. On Saturday, also, Israeli occupation forces closed the entrance to Turmusaya town, northeast of Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. The measure blocks the movement of travelers in and out of the city and causes traffic congestion. The closures, in addition to other measures taken under the pretext of security, are aimed at reinforcing Israel's 57-year military occupation of the West Bank. It also seeks to expand its colonial project, which it applies with routine and often lethal violence against Palestinians. Israeli occupation forces conducted at least 30 arbitrary arrests in different parts of the occupied West Bank over the last 24 hours. This comes in the context of the ongoing operations by Tel Aviv troops in Gaza. According to Prisoners Affairs Committee and the Palestinian Prisoners Association, the operations were concentrated during the day in the Nur Shams refugee camp, which is still the target of an underway offensive. They also indicated that among those kidnapped were women and a number of children, as well as several injured. According to the Prisoners Affairs Committee and the Palestinian Prisoners Society, over 8,000 citizens have been abducted by the Israeli occupation forces from their homes or checkpoints since October 2023. The United Nations advocates for peace between Palestine and Israel. The head of the UN Public Works and Relief Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Middle East, Philip Lazzarini, reaffirmed the right of Palestinians and Israelis to a peaceful and stable future. He stressed that the wounds between the two nations could not be healed without empathy, the rejection of dehumanization, and the misuse of new technologies in warfare. Lazzarini also denounced the murder of 178 humanitarian workers of the organization in the midst of the continuous Israeli attacks in the coastal enclave. The Iraqi resistance attacked an Israeli target on Saturday in response to the violation of national sovereignty and the aggression against the camps of the Popular Mobilization Forces. The Iraqi resistance thus confirmed the launching of drones on a key Israeli objective in the city of Eilat. In the meantime, they also affirmed that these actions are also in support of the Palestinian people and against the massacres of the Tel Aviv regime in the framework of its genocidal operation in the Gaza Strip. It should be noted that this military action materialized after the Iraqi resistance reported the death of 1 civilian and 8 wounded after the explosion in the Kalus camp north of Babylon, which houses the headquarters of the army, the police, and the Popular Mobilization Forces. The government of Iran warned Israel about the danger of its military actions against its territory and stressed that widening the conflict is harmful to the region. The Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian stated that his country has no intention of launching a new attack against Israel unless Tel Aviv attacks its interests again. The Iranian diplomat stressed his country's right to defend itself against Israeli aggressions, such as the April 1st attack against its embassy in Syria, especially in the absence of any statement from international organizations. Regarding the recent Israeli attack on several Iranian provinces, the foreign minister stressed that Iranian defense systems were able to shoot down the drones as soon as they were spotted, which is evidence of their armed forces' readiness. The Iraqi Ministry of Foreign Affairs also warned on the dangers of military escalation in the region and expressed its concern after the Israeli attack on Isfahan city in Iran. The Iraqi Foreign Ministry stressed that the escalation should not distract public opinion from the crimes committed by Israel against its citizens in the Gaza Strip. In this regard, it denounced the destruction and loss of life resulting from the siege against Gaza while rejecting the decision of the UN Security Council for not granting full membership to Palestine. And the United States government fixed its position as it did not condemn Israeli attacks against Iran, while affirming that it does not want the conflict to escalate in the Middle East. According to local media, the U.S. Department of Defense claimed that an aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran is not appropriate. According to the sources for defense agencies of the northern nation, Israel engages in dangerous actions, and President Joe Biden's support for Tel Aviv puts the country in the line of fire. These statements come after White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre confirmed that the U.S. government has no comment on the Israeli attacks on Iran, but is in constant consultation with representatives of the Group of Seven and with intelligence teams in order to avoid escalation in the region. We have a fun short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Found your break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Russia, authorities have evacuated over 2,800 people in several regions of the country because overflowing in the Tobol River. The Russian Ministry for Emergency Situations said Tobol River water level has reached 970 centimeters above the danger line in central Kurgan region, and that water level keeps rising. In fact, experts say, according to forecasts, the river will continue to increase its water volume until it reaches its maximum level in the next 2 to 3 days. Authorities say emergency workers are reinforcing the structure of the Kurgan dam while they continue to evacuate civilians in areas that could be affected by new floods. On the other hand, in Mali on Saturday, health authorities stressed that the exceptional heat wave hitting the country with temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius has caused dozens of deaths. In this regard, Dr. Ibrahim Fall, director of a health center in the city, pointed out that there is a very high mortality rate related to dehydration and fever. The deadly hot weather has affected Mali and Burkina Faso in the month of April, with temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, climate models show that heat waves of this magnitude observed in the region in March and April 2024 would be impossible without the 1.2 degrees centigrade of global warming recorded to date, which scientists attribute to human-induced climate change. Meanwhile, in the United Arab Emirates, local media highlighted the flooding in the city of Sharjah following the heaviest rains ever recorded in the country. In this sense, the local authorities ensured the deployment of volunteers to provide food, water, and medical assistance to the citizens residing in the community. The storms hit the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain after hitting Oman, where 18 people were killed, including several children. It should be noted that an environmental report stated that the climate of the United Arab Emirates had warmed by 0.4 degrees, meanwhile assuring a major increase in average annual precipitations in the southern part of the Arab Peninsula. Now let's go to the world of sports with basketball notes, because on Saturday begins the postseason of the National Basket Association. In this way, 16 teams that are divided in two conferences will start their way to dispute the championship final in June. It is worth noting the defending champion Denver Nuggets will play as the second seed for the Western Conference, while the Miami Heat, who lost in the final, barely made it to the postseason and will start their series as the East Conference 8th seed. This NBA season proved that it has a global reach, and a clear example is that NBA announced on opening day a record of 125 international players from 40 countries, including a record number of players from Canada and France. The 2024 NBA postseason has some remarkable observations that are of interest to global basketball fans, and here we will share some of them. In this sense, the first seed in the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics, will enter the postseason for the 10th consecutive season, currently the longest streak in the league. In this sense, Oklahoma City Thunder, Orlando Magic, and Indiana Pacers will make it into the playoff for the first time since 2020. On the other hand, the Milwaukee Bucks advanced to the postseason for the 8th consecutive season. In turn, as negative achievement, the Golden State Warriors will miss the postseason for the first time since 2021. Meanwhile, the Charlotte Hornets will skip the playoff for the 8th consecutive season, currently the longest active postseason drought in the NBA. This Sunday, the world of football witnesses the most watched game of club football, El Clásico. Real Madrid received Barcelona at the Santiago Bernabeu. Barcelona goes into the Clásico suffering the aftermath of defeat against PSG and with a heated locker room after the statements made by Gundogan and Araujo. Unlike Barcelona, Real Madrid are on the upswing after heroically reaching the Champions League semi-finals after a deadly duel against Manchester City. Vinicius and Carvajal had to withdraw from the match with discomfort, but it seems that both will be fit for the Clásico. Coach for Los Blancos, Carlos Ancelotti, said Sunday's game is a great opportunity to seal the team's leadership in the race for La Liga's title.
It's a great opportunity for us to get closer to winning La Liga, bearing in mind, being aware of the difficulties we're going to have because Barcelona are a very lively team. We are recovering well. There are players who still need another day of rest. Ferland Mendy has not trained today. He needs another day. They will all be in the squad. We have had no problems of any kind. Tomorrow we will try to put out the best possible team.
For his part, Barcelona coach Xavi Hernandez stressed that the only goal is to win, to put pressure on this year's league leader.
Yes, for us, it is the most important game of the season right now. This is clear. We have to win. We have to win to put pressure on the leader, Real Madrid, and well, if we win, we would be 5 points away. This is the scenario that we would like. We are going to try to compete and try to win at the Bernabeu. That is our goal.
In Spain also, the first traveling migrant book fair born out of self-management as a process of decolonization concludes this Saturday in the city of Barcelona. The event started last Monday, April 15th, and was attended by different publishers of the country in the framework of the book festival of Sant Jordi, which seeks to publicize the largest number of works by migrant authors. Vivi Alfonsín, Moja Guerrejo, Dagmari Olivar and Silvia Ramirez also took part in the event and discussed the creation and culture of migrant people. Behind this collective literary commission, there are other organizations that are supporting the movement as a synonym of migration and union of cultures between countries of the world. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on our social media on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.